My name's Steve Terrett, and I'm one of the team at the British Law Centre, and this is my colleague Will Odogwu.
Hi everyone.
There are other members of the team, but unfortunately they can't all join us today. But they all send their greetings, and they're very much looking forward to speaking to you and meeting you in person. So what we are going to do today is give you a bit of an introduction to the British Law Centre and to the diploma that we teach. In fact, we teach 2 diplomas, but the diploma that we hope you'll want to register for is the Diploma in English Law and Legal Skills. And in true lawyer style, we've turned that into an acronym, which is DELS. So if we refer to DELS, we're meaning the Diploma in English Law and Legal Skills. Just like to say a huge thanks to Vice Dean Marta Machulska for having been so helpful with setting up the British Law Centre in Lviv at Ivan Franko University and in publicising information about it. So thank you very much, and let me proceed with our presentation. The Diploma in English Law and Legal Skills. I think the first thing that anyone should do when they're giving a presentation is to explain who they are and why they're talking to you. So let's have a look at what the British Law Centre is. Well, the British Law Centre was created in 1992, and originally it was an idea to have a small academic course in Poland, and it was created by the University of Cambridge and Warsaw University. And it was only meant to last for 1 year, but it proved popular, and so as you can see, it has now been going for 28 years, and not just in Poland, but in multiple countries all throughout Central and Eastern Europe. The organisation of the British Law Centre is done by a specially created charity called Juris Anglia Scientia. That is based at the law faculty in Cambridge, and it includes senior members of the academic staff at Cambridge University Law Faculty. It also has representatives from the senior judiciary, and it has commercial lawyers. So that's who we are. And with that in mind, let's just put some faces onto the screen. I won't introduce everyone because that's a little bit abstract for me to just describe who all of these people are. Let's just say these are people who are either involved in organising the charity or have delivered lectures for us in recent years. This is a selection of people from Cambridge University. Our big boss, the president of the members of the charity, is Lord Robert Carnworth of the UK Supreme Court. And you're talking to 2 of the faces, or you're listening to 2 of the faces from the teaching team down below, myself and Will. Rory O'Neill couldn't be with us this evening, neither could Chris Garska, but you would be seeing them during the course of the year. If you want to see a larger list and descriptions of who has taught at the British Law Centre in recent years, then you can click on this link and see who teaches. Now, of course, who teaches, it varies from year to year, but you can guarantee that you're going to see these 4 people here, and you will see elements of other renowned visitors throughout the year. Okay. We also cooperate with a number of international law firms, and you will be receiving online information and workshops from some of these law firms. So we hope that we bring commercial reality as well as academic theory to the course. Okay, that's enough about us, but the big question is what can we do for you? Why should you be joining the British Law Centre? So that's what we want to spend the rest of our time talking about. So the next thing for us to look at is the diploma that we are inviting you to join, the DELS diploma. So maybe I can hand over to you, Will, to start talking about the diploma.
Sure thing. As Steve explained, the course that we're inviting you to join today is the Diploma in English Law and Legal Skills. And this is made up of a combination of legal skills elements like advocacy, for example, and also, of course, substantive law. So there are 4 legal topics that we look at through the course of the one-year diploma. And we begin with, logically enough, the English legal system. So looking at the basics of the British Constitution, which is a very curious beast, as it is an unwritten constitution, or at least made up of a sort of a melange of written and unwritten sources. So I hope that you enjoy looking at the peculiarities of our constitution. I know our judges do. And after the English legal system, so you've got your footing, you've understood the system of precedent that we apply in our case law, then we'll move on to contract law. So hopefully there'll be a few of you out there that think, oh, that's great. I've come into contact with English contracts in the past, because English contract law is a very popular choice of law to regulate contracts between parties from different jurisdictions all around the world, and it's a very dominant form of a sort of source of law to be applied to contracts in the field of things like banking, derivatives, insurance, lots of sort of commercial applications, shipping, etc. So it's a very commercially important body of law to learn about. And of course, we'll be giving you a gentle introduction and then getting you into some of the more interesting features of English contract law, like the doctrine of consideration, which will be new to you. So yeah, contract law is our second subject. That's where you really get to grips with applying case law in order to solve problems with us. And then we'll move on to tort law. So this is the law of non-contractual wrongs, basically civil wrongs, delict, if you will. So we'll be focusing on one of the many aspects of English tort law, which is the tort of negligence, which is a field of liability that covers all sorts of everyday situations. And so it's kind of constantly on the move, but it's a really great field of to study, to think about how judges in our system, including judge-made law, sort of balance up competing policy considerations, wider social justice, wider welfare of society, and the way that they shape the liability in the tort of negligence. So after tort law, you'll finish off with equity and trusts. So equity and trusts is one of those real unique products of the English legal mind, or at least the English legal tradition. And there's very little I can say about it at the moment. We'll give you a nice gentle introduction and get you familiar with the concepts that are involved. But what I can say, I suppose, is that trust law is kind of founded on disregarding the black and white of something as property or something as not property. It's a bit like a kind of quasi-property law, and a way of organizing for the management of resources on behalf of other people. And it's very, very important commercially. It's very, very important in sort of planning, planning for people who are sort of high wealth individuals and things like this. So it's a very interesting area to look at, lots of interesting cases there. And so that will round out our substantive topics. And then I think I'll hand over to Steve. I think he can tell you a little bit more about the skills component.
Okay. Well, as Will said, as well as teaching you the core subjects of English substantive law, we also teach you some legal skills as we're going along. Now, let's manage expectations here. When you finish our course, you won't be a fully qualified English lawyer. You'll still have a few steps in front of you before you can be appointed as a judge or in the UK, but you will be qualified to be the Minister of Justice if you should so wish. Now, what do we aim to do? We try to keep the course as practical as possible, and so when we're teaching you substantive law, we also teaching you some skills. The first area of skills that we teach is about how to handle litigation. So how do you teach that? Well, imagine that you went on a swimming lesson and someone sat there and started talking about swimming in the abstract. Maybe they showed you a picture of a swimming pool and started waving their arms about to show you how to swim. That would be useless. You won't learn to swim after doing that. The only way you can learn to swim is by jumping in the pool and starting to move your arms and legs yourself. And that's exactly how we're going to teach you the legal skills. We are going to give you a case, a realistic, real-life case, and you will, together with us, analyze the case, work out how you should approach it, either from the perspective of the prosecution or from the perspective of the defense. You will identify the strengths and weaknesses of both of those positions, and you will come up with a case theory and a strategy for how to pursue the litigation. Because good lawyers don't arrive in court and just start asking questions and see where it ends up, and then try to work out a closing speech based upon what spontaneously happened in the courtroom. There is a plan, there's a method, and we'll teach you that method. And we will also teach you how to implement the method, because we will then introduce you to witnesses and show you how to ask questions of your witnesses, and also, and this is the exciting stuff, how to ask questions of the other side's witnesses. So you will learn a lot of oral advocacy that will be valuable if you want to be a courtroom lawyer, but equally we'll be teaching you how to make public presentations in general and how to plan and deliver a speech. So it will be valuable even if you have no intention of ever being a courtroom lawyer. The next skills that we're going to teach you relate to the contract law module, because we will teach you negotiation of contracts and particular clauses, and then we'll show you the way to go about drafting those clauses and problems that can occur. Now, again, we will do this on the basis of a factual scenario that we give you. This is not theoretical. We're giving you stories where you're asked to advise the clients, and you get to play the role of the lawyer in a nice, safe environment in the classroom where no one is going to sue you afterwards if things don't go according to plan. When we come on to tort law, we're going to be teaching you how to interview clients and get the information from clients that you need to go on to pursue your negotiations or to deliver your case in court. And we'll also discuss what we call written advocacy, which is writing things such as memoranda to clients. And also in contract law, there will be an aspect of advising clients in a written format rather than the courtroom oral format. By the time we come to the equity and trust module, we're completing your written advocacy skills by dealing with what we call problem questions. And I won't say too much about that because I have a sneaky suspicion that it's on one of the later slides. So that all sounds good. That's the what we teach. Now how do we teach it? And so people are probably bored of my voice. Well, how about you take over for this part?
Looking at the mode of delivering the BLC's courses, we like to ensure that you're sort of supported all the way through a combination of resources. So the main first port of call, there's a question in the chat room, maybe not sure if you can address that, Steve. There's the main base that you'll be going to in order to see what you have to do, what materials are available to help support your learning will be, of course, the course website. And so as you can see there, you're going to be able to find on there a bunch of different resources. A lot of it will be written, but also lots of videos, so that you can, however you learn best, you can access materials that will help you to learn that way. All of our substantive law modules that I talked about before, contract law, tort, etc., they'll each have a section on the website where you can see resources that are split into different categories. And the first category will be essential reading. So that will be a fairly small collection of materials that will help you to get to grips with all of the basic concepts and case law, etc., that you need to know to be able to handle the assessments that we will give you later. But besides that essential reading material, there'll be a whole lot of extra resources there, just for those who are curious, interested, want to learn further, want to discuss further things with us. Then you'll find things like academic articles, you'll find speeches, speeches delivered by the judiciary in the UK. You'll find all sorts of sort of legal skills related material as well on there. So every element of the course, tort law, contract, equity and trust, English legal system, you'll have a wide variety of resources there, but you'll have a clearly defined, clearly delineated core that you can focus on if you're a bit pushed for time and you know you'll get the basics. So we of course do directly deliver teaching to you as well, rather than just expecting you to go through the resources that are available on the website. But there is an overlap between the two. We do make sure that all the lectures that we give are recorded and available for you to access at your convenience. So there'll be a library of lectures that are created and delivered by us and by the guests of the British Law Centre, and so you'll be able to access those at your convenience. We will have, of course, live lectures that you can participate in with us or with, again, visitors to the BLC, some of those illustrious figures that Steve highlighted before, and of course the workshops that Steve already mentioned, and I think will pop up again later, but the law firms with which the British Law Centre cooperates will help us to deliver additional material, mostly legal skills related, with the help of some of their lawyers who will create dedicated content for people on the course. So each year we have something to offer in that respect. I think we've had commercial arbitration quite often in the past. We've had assistance on things like contract negotiation from visitors and from law firm guests as well, and contract drafting. So there's a lot that's going to be available to you, both in terms of reading materials and active participation in teaching from us and our guests. So one thing that we like to emphasize about the way in which we do deliver the course content is that we like to keep things as practical as possible, as Steve has already highlighted in relation to the legal skills component of the course, and interactive. So we don't want it just dominated by us talking at you and you having to just listen and absorb everything, but we want to encourage people to discuss and challenge the ideas that are being talked about in lectures and classes. So in particular, in our class format, we'll have quite petite groups of sort of 6 to 10 people that will be discussing problem questions. So these will be factual scenarios that will allow you to explore whether you can successfully apply the law that you've been learning about in contract law or tort law or trust law to a factual scenario. So you get a factual scenario. Bob went to the shop. He, tried to take away this item, said he would return to pay the price later, etc., etc. And we try to analyze factual scenarios from the perspective of English contract law or tort law, whatever the relevant subject might be. So everyone's going to get a chance to contribute on that and discuss and challenge our ideas, challenge the ideas of the other people participating in the class. So I think it's a really enjoyable feature of the course, and it's a really great way to consolidate your learning and get you comfortable with the subject matter. So what will you end up with at the end of going through the course? Well, there'll be more to say on this later, but one thing for sure is that you will have a good foundation in the core English legal subjects that any English lawyer has to learn in order to qualify to practice in the UK. So contract law, tort law, equity and trust, the constitutional setup of the UK. These are all on the fundamental list of things that you have to acquire in order to practice in the UK. And I think we do a pretty good job of getting you a good way towards the knowledge that you would actually encounter if you studied these things in the UK. So you really walk away with a lot, having learned a lot from participating in the course. Of course, there's the aspect that you're listening to us all now in English. We are, of course, English speakers. We impose upon you by expecting you to follow all of our rapid speech, and please do tell me to slow down if anything is passing you by. But by listening to us and, more importantly, discussing with us the problems that we're going to be tackling and discussing it with your colleagues, all in the English language, and with the benefit of native English speakers to listen to and debate with, you'll find that you go forward in leaps and bounds in terms of your confidence with your English language by the end of the course. And finally, we're going to have a guest to the BLC who will be able to bring us bang up to date with the complications arising out of Brexit. No one can be certain of what's going to happen at this point in time, but we've got people who have got their fingers on the pulse better than most, and so you'll be privy to that information. Great. So
I shall maybe take on the unpleasant topic of assessments. No one likes this. Who likes being assessed? But I should say, the way for you to assess whether you are taking on board and learning and can put into practice the things that you're studying during the diploma is to have some assessments. And anyone who wants to graduate the diploma needs to do some assessments. They are practical. We are not going to ask you about what happened in ancient Rome. We are not going to ask you to remember things and repeat them back to us. They are not memory tests. They are about whether you can use the law that you have studied and advise people about what to do in a practical situation. Law is an extremely practical subject. And so we try to make our assessments reflect that. So we will give you a story, as Will said earlier. We'll give you a scenario and we'll say, this happened, this happened, this happened, advise. Now that's a horrible feeling, but if you're ever going to become a lawyer, that's what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. So again, the BLC offers you a nice way to begin doing that, where no one will be harmed, even if your advice is not great at the beginning. You will be writing memoranda for clients or doing other practical tasks, such as interviewing clients, etc. Now, there is one assessment that you need to complete for each of the 4 modules that Will mentioned earlier. So that is, number 1, English legal system, number 2, contract, number 3, tort, and number 4, equity and trusts. You do one assessment for each of those across the whole year. Now, we give you the assessment at the end of each module. Once we finish, let's say, contract law, we give you the contract law assignment. You will be perfectly in a position to write the answer by then. You have 30 days to do it. You can use all of your materials. It's not a memory test. It's about how you can apply the law. And the good news is that we even allow the possibility for you to make, not do so well on one of the assignments and still get a good result overall, because we take into account your best 3 grades from those 4. Regardless of how good your English is at the moment, it will improve while you're doing the course. You can't avoid it. Even if you try, your English will get better. And that's true of your spoken English, but I think in particular, it is noticeable in people's written English. Not just the words that they use, but the style that they adopt. I won't say too much about it now, but writing exams or writing client advice is something where we pay a lot of attention to, and we are very confident that we can make you write better. So don't fear the assessments. They are there for your benefit, and they're never pleasant at the time when they arrive in your inbox, let's be honest. But by the time you finish them and you get our feedback and you notice yourself improving, you'll look back at the end of the course and say, I wouldn't want to do it without the assessments. Many of our students actually say that the assessments became their most favorite part of the course, even though, of course, at the time they didn't look forward to receiving them. Okay, what do we have next then? Oh, the horrible situation of COVID-19. Of course, this is something that everyone is having to face at the moment. And the British Law Centre can give you no more guarantees about what the situation will look like for the next 12 months than anyone else can in the world. I don't think you should believe anyone who tells you for certain that they know what the situation is going to be like. But we do know for certain that the British Law Centre teaching will happen. So those online teaching visits will happen in October and November. After that, we are going to have a reassessment of what the situation looks like. We hope that we will be able to then come back to face-to-face teaching, because we're all teachers, we love teaching, and we want to be there with you. But for now, up until November, we're going to be doing online teaching. And we hope that you'll give it a try, that you'll join us. And if, after you've had these first 2 lessons, if 2 things occur, and that is, firstly, the COVID situation is still bad and we are unable to travel to Ukraine to come and do the teaching. Not necessarily because the borders are closed, but because we would be traveling around, if we travel at all, to multiple countries. And so we have to try and balance up the quarantine rules, the meeting restrictions in all of these countries. So if the situation looks bad, still, let's say, and if you decide at that point that you don't want to continue because the online format isn't working for you, then you have the right to withdraw from the course and to get a refund for anything else that you don't take part in. But the good news is, even if we are online for the beginning and maybe even up until after Christmas, who knows, then you can take heart in the fact that all of us at the BLC have lots of experience in delivering online teaching. We have all of the necessary equipment and approaches to do online teaching, so you don't need to worry about that. Ironically, you will find that you end up having contact online with teachers, lawyers, academics, professionals, who simply, you wouldn't have that contact with them if we were doing it in a face-to-face format. Some of the people who are willing to do online teaching for us and with you just simply wouldn't be able to fly to Lviv on a Tuesday or Wednesday night to do a face-to-face class because they're busy in their professional lives. So you'll actually get a wider range of teachers and some very impressive people during the online period. There are also new opportunities for skills teaching by using the online format. You'll see some of these in practice when we start the course. And the one thing we can guarantee is that we want to get back into the classroom. And as soon as universities decide that that is possible, the BLC, I think, will be amongst the first teachers to be allowed back into the classroom because of the small group teaching style that we have. We don't teach 200 people at a time sitting, listening to us. We have small groups and we're interactive. Now, sorry, the next slide, I think, takes us to extracurricular activities. So maybe I can hand over again to you, Will.
Yeah, thanks. I won't draw this out because I know you're all busy people, but we do want to alert you to the fact that there are some other opportunities beyond the core curriculum of the DELS that you can participate in and that we provide. And so each year, the BLC runs the Central and East European Moot competition. It's held at various venues around the continent, rotating from year to year. And in the coming year, Bucharest is the venue. In the past, we've been to such varied places as, well, Luxembourg. That's where the photo is from, the Court of Justice of the EU itself in Luxembourg.
And I have just noticed, sorry to introduce you, but I can actually see you here leaning very comfortably on one of the chairs in the front row.
I'm admiring that fine advocacy that's been going on shortly before the photo was taken, I'm sure. Indeed, yeah. So I was lucky enough to be there at the Court of Justice in Luxembourg, as was Steve, out of shot by the looks. But
I'm taking the photo.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So yeah, we get to some exciting venues. So we've even been to Malta in the past. That's one of my favorite ones. A nice warm spring break. But Bucharest this year, an exciting city. And so we're hoping that it will go ahead, no problem. We're hoping that COVID's all under control by that point. Worst comes to worst, we're going to operate the competition online. But hopefully everything will be fine and we'll be able to go ahead and conduct the competition as usual in person before our illustrious panel of judges that were attended by each year for the competition. So we've got judges of the Court of Justice itself. We've got judges of the General Court, the sort of first instance court and direct actions that come before the EU courts. We've got advocates general from the Court of Justice as well. We've got professional lawyers, some of whom have great experience in EU law. We've got professors from academic institutions in the UK and other parts of Europe. It's a really, really strong panel of judges. And at the same time, the competition is of modest dimensions. So we've usually got something like 20, maximum 25 teams participating each year. We've got plenty of opportunities to socialize and mingle with not only the other people who will be attending as your competitors, but also with the judges themselves. So lots of chances to make contacts there. Great prizes on offer in terms of stages, sort of internships at the Court of Justice itself, visits to the Supreme Court in the UK and to Cambridge University, etc., etc. So lots of great things there. And of course, in the process of enjoying all these wonderful things, you will be advancing your advocacy skills in an environment where you have critique from the best of the best, but delivered in the most friendly and mild of manners, because it's a nice small competition where there's a nice jovial sort of friendly atmosphere. So it's a good chance to test the waters if you haven't participated in mooting before. So yeah, I highly recommend that you put forward your team for your university when the time comes, and you participate in the CEEMC when it's coming up.
And I think we'd also recommend that you take part in any of the workshops that we organize. We mentioned that we have the support of a number of law firms, many of whom operate globally. And they will be helping us to design and to deliver legal skills training. And of course, the more online that we are, the more we will be able to make these courses and workshops accessible to everyone, regardless of which BLC location they are at, rather than just saying that it's in a room in a particular city, in Prague or Budapest or wherever. So we'd encourage you to take part in all of the extra things that we offer. Basically, on the BLC, how much you do and how much you get out of it is up to you. There are certain things that you can't avoid, which are the assessments, if you want to graduate the diploma. But you can choose whether you just want to do the bare basics of the compulsory reading and the assignments, or you can get more out of it if you're interested in the whole of English law or in just small areas of English law that we happen to teach. Maybe you hate the law of tort, but you love the law of contract. Well, in that module, you'll have lots of additional reading that you can use to go deeper and expand your knowledge in the areas that you find most interesting. So you get out of it what you put into it, but there's a lot of options available to everyone to get things out. Okay, something else that you may want to do after you successfully graduate the DELS diploma is to continue your studies with us on the commercial law diploma. Now that, we say, expand your horizons. For you guys, it's not on the horizon yet, unless we say that the horizon is 1 year away, because the only way to get onto the commercial law diploma is to have been through the DELS diploma and to have successfully passed that. And the reason for that is because on the commercial law diploma, we are building on the skills and the knowledge that you acquired during DELS, but we're also introducing new, very commercial, very practical law. You wouldn't be able to begin with the CLD diploma because it assumes a certain level of knowledge and a certain skill set that you will only acquire once you're doing the DELS diploma with us. But once you have that, you will find that you can then very easily build on and start to gain practical expertise in company law, intellectual property law, dispute resolution, not just locally, but also internationally. And you will be putting some of that contract law into even more practical applications by doing things such as amending or drafting articles of association for a company or company resolutions. We adopt an approach all the way throughout the commercial law diploma where you are advising one particular client. You will be playing the role of the lawyer from the very first day of the course, where the client comes to you and says, I want you to register a company for me. Now I want to protect my trademarks. Now I want to do this. Now I want to do that. And you'll be learning these skills in a very practical way as you go through. So it's not something that can be under the Christmas tree for you this year, but next year it can be. And if you do that, then we think that you'll realize that DELS and CLD really do complement each other. Okay, we are, oops, that's too loud. Once you're part of the BLC family, then you will realize that it's not just the time that we spend together in classes that we are in contact with each other. We're extremely active on social media, and so some of our social media, of course, is available to everyone on things like on Facebook. And we have podcasts with various people. This is one with one of the judges of the UK Supreme Court who spoke to us and our students not so long ago. But there's also things that extra material that you will be able to access that is not available to the outside world. You know how these things work. Like and subscribe is one thing, but being a course member is something different. So you will be able to show off your knowledge to your friends, show off some of the people that you have access to, and they will see parts of it in public forums like Facebook. You'll be able to see the whole kit and caboodle, as we say, by being a member of the course. So why should you do the course? Well, I shall leave that decision largely up to you, but just float some possible ideas. We've mentioned the fact that you will get better at speaking, reading, and writing in the English language. We think that the advocacy skills will also improve your style of how you form an argument and deliver an argument. If you're interested in the more theoretical, academic side of things, and you want to compare laws in different countries, then there is no country that approaches everything more differently to everyone else than the UK. Our history has created a legal system that, if it didn't already exist, probably no one would invent it. No one would follow it. But it works. And so if you want to see how things could be done differently, no, we're not saying better, but just differently, an interesting difference, then the English legal system is an absolutely amazing example. And now, because of Brexit, the English legal system is going to be going through a very rapid period of self-analysis, self-review, perhaps some fundamental changes. And so it's going to be interesting to see the post-Brexit development of a legal system, because it's almost as if, having separated itself from the European Union and sailed away, that's one question. But then the bigger question is, well, what now? 45 years of being part of the European Union legal system, and now lots of questions are being asked about where we should take the UK and its constitutional law and its substantive law. Okay, if you want to study abroad, of course, it never hurts to say that you've spent a year or 2 years studying with natives and looking at materials in English. And in terms of finding a job, well, one of the things that people are looking for on a CV is, what have you done over and above the law course that 1,000 people did? And the British Law Centre is a great thing that you can do to be over and above what your colleagues at university may be doing. Even if you happen to be a lawyer or a trainee lawyer, we think that the legal skills part of the course you will find interesting. Maybe you're already a great advocate. Maybe you're already great at negotiating contracts and drafting. But we think that you'll see that the UK's approach to teaching these things might be different to how you studied it in Lviv, elsewhere in Ukraine. So even if you know this, it's great to refresh, and it's great to have some external eyes saying, well, this is how we teach it. And then apart from that, of course, we hope you're going to find it interesting. We hope that you're going to find it fun, and that the 12 months that you spend with us, the 1-year course, you'll come out and you'll say, I really enjoyed that. Can I do more? And of course, the answer is yes, you can. There's the commercial law diploma. We hope that you're going to join us, because in the 28 years that the British Law Centre has been going, we've taught thousands of students, and I don't even know what percentage, but I would say 99.9% of people have said, this is a really good course, we really enjoy it. And we're sure that if you join us, you'll be one of those people saying the same thing next year. Very varied, lots of stuff to do, and once you become involved with it, we hope that you'll start coming back, and that having been a student 1 year, in 10 years' time, who knows, when you are the Minister of Justice for Ukraine, or you're in the Ukrainian Supreme Court, we'll be inviting you back to give lectures to our new generation of students. Some of the faces that you're seeing up here, these are professors from Cambridge, or the people who have come to teach at the BLC. You're going to enjoy it, I promise you. The course fees are kept as low as they can possibly be. If you are students of the university, the fee is €599. That is for the whole course. There's no additional fees for materials or for marking or anything. That is the one and only fee. If you are a non-student, it jumps up a little to $799. Even though the fee is kept as low as possible, we realize that it's a significant amount of money. And so the possibility exists to pay in installments. 50% to be paid before the course begins, and 50% in February 2021. Now, we don't want money to be a reason why people don't do the course. So if you want to do the course, but you think even 2 installments, that's going to be too much for me to find, don't decide for yourself that you're not going to do the course. Contact us and let us know what your situation is, because we may be able to create the possibility to pay in more than 2 installments. There is a small fee for the host university at Ivan Franko, but the level of that is really going to depend upon whether we do teaching face-to-face in classrooms or whether things are online. Essentially, if we are online, there won't be any fee at all. If we're unable to visit for a significant period of the year, there will be a fee, but it's going to be around €40. Someone asked a question, I'm not sure whether everyone saw it, when we began, which said, can I study this course if I'm a first-year student? To which I replied very quickly, yes. It doesn't matter whether you're a first year, second year, or fourth year. If you're a fifth year student, how much English law will you have studied by the fifth year? How much advocacy skills will you have studied by the fifth year? It really doesn't matter whether you're first or fifth year. We have had classes, I've personally taught classes where there is a retired judge in the room who's over the age of 65, first year law students, translators, and then people who are not lawyers at all, but just wanted to do something to improve their English. And doing a foreign law course and looking at legal skills the way that we do, it's a great leveler. And it really doesn't matter what your background is, what your age is. The only thing that is important is just wanting to participate. That's it. So don't be afraid about who you'll be in the classroom with or what their experience is. It doesn't matter. Trust me. If you have any questions later, and this always happens, doesn't it? You must have been in this situation where you think you have no questions, and the moment we say goodbye, you'll think, oh no, I wanted to ask that. Don't worry, just drop us an email. You can find us on Facebook. You can send us an instant message, or you can write to us by email. If you're convinced you want to join us, then now's the time to go on the website and click apply. This is not a legal trick. It's not a hook. If you register to apply, what will happen at the moment is just one thing, which is you will start getting emails from us which talk about the course and send you maybe even some materials for you to watch or read in advance. It does not mean that you are irrevocably bound to study at the British Law Centre and that we will be chasing you with lawyers or baseball bats if you decide that it's not for you. So go on, apply, and it will just put you on a mailing list where you will get information. If you decide later on that you don't want to do the course, then all we ask is that you click and let us know that you don't want to do the course, and we'll take you off that list. So please don't fear that it's that you will be trapped if you do it. If there's anything that you think you want us to give you any additional information about, or that you want to talk about to see whether the course is suitable for you, again, the golden rule is stay in touch. I don't have a great internet signal at home at the moment because my son is doing his best to download all of Netflix, I think, at this particular moment. But if you go on the British Law Centre website, you can see this is where we keep our materials. You will also see a calendar which shows when we are going to visit the various centres. You can either click on about the diploma, or you can do /calendar. But if you type Lviv into the search box, it will give you the dates when we are due to come and visit Lviv. And you see that approximately once a month, we visit, and each of the sessions lasts for 4 hours. It's scheduled here, well, I think that's just 3.5, but it's actually 4 hours. And frankly, if people want to stay more or they have more questions, none of us is going to slam the door in your face and walk away. We're available, and we love talking about law, we love teaching. And so if anyone has any questions, then we're perfectly willing to spend more time with them, either when we're in Lviv or contacting us outside of class times. We all have Zoom. We can all set up meetings. So there are 8 visits. Each of them lasts approximately 4 hours. So that's 32 hours of class time. But on top of that, there's about over 100 hours of lecture time and additional materials. So there's a lot in there, and hopefully it puts into perspective the price that may look significant. You then work out how many hours of contact time you're going to be having on this specialized legal subject, and you'll see that it works out as a not commercial price. I hope to be seeing you, first of all, online for October, and then we hope face-to-face as soon as we can, but we'll be reviewing that in November and hopefully returning to Lviv. It's been too long, and we all want to get back there.
Indeed.
So talking about too long, I think that's what our meeting is in danger of becoming. So I think we should say goodbye, and we hope to see you all soon. Thank you all for joining us. I see that Vice Dean Machulska has joined us. So thank you very much for having organized this and for helping us to promote the BLC. We're really looking forward to it. And it's another reason why COVID has become so bloody annoying, if we're honest. We're not able to be there already.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, look forward to hearing from you all, and we'll hopefully see you all soon. Goodbye.
Great. Good night, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.